So we will be taking it off from where we stopped. But briefly, I would like to make a recap uh, of what we have done so far. So we started by introducing uh, what how assistantships in the United States works, uh, what is a scholarship in the United States, what is research assistantship, what is teaching assistantship. These are the basic ways in which funding comes in the United States. By the way, if you are listening, I'm also live on YouTube. Okay, so for those who eventually probably will not be able to get their question across on Twitter Space, here you can also find a way to ask your question on YouTube. That is when the time comes for questioning, for question and answer. All right, so we started this session by introducing how full funding in the United States works. What is the mechanism of the funding in the United States? How the fundings actually work? And in those first few sessions, I explained that majorly funding in the United States is taken care of by the schools, okay, as opposed to many countries where either there are organizations or there is the government as a whole taking care of the scholarship, that awards the scholarship to people. In this case, it's more like an agreement between the school and the student who is coming in. And the agreement goes something like this: hey, can we waive your tuition? If we waive your tuition, and then you do this certain responsibility, you do this certain job for us, and then we will pay you stipend every month, every 2 weeks actually. And then they pay that stipend to students based on the responsibility the students do to the school or give to the school. And those responsibilities can range from being a teaching assistant to being a research assistant to being an administrative assistant. Teaching assistant basically means you teach a course, you teach some students, maybe lab courses and the likes, you grade it, and then you get paid for that. Your tuition is waived. Research assistant just means you work with a professor to do some work, to do research. You are an assistant research, right? You join the lab, either the course you are doing as a lab work, you join the lab, you do research with the professor. It can even be your own research. You're being paid to do your research, basically. That's what it means. And then administrative assistant, perhaps something like you work in an administrative role, let's say with a professor, you're a secretary, you're a whatever, something like that. Not has nothing to do with teaching, has nothing to do with research, or you join the admission, no, not admission committee. Maybe you join the undergraduate coordinator or graduate coordinator just to do some administrative work, paperwork, and the likes, and then you get paid for that. And last week I went for that. In fact, the first week too, I also showed you people how to search for courses, okay, how to search for full funding, how to search for schools offering full funding in your course of study. And a lot of people started searching out for schools. And with that, I'm very, very happy. Last week, different people shared with us the schools they found offering full funding in their field, and that's very beautiful too. That was very beautiful to see. It's a very beautiful spreadsheet that some people made. If you didn't share yours with us last week and then you already have your spreadsheet, you can make a screenshot of it and then share it as a comment under this space session. People will see it, people will learn from it too, and then people will see what you are doing well. And then, of course, some people can take it from you, some people can give you further advice and the like. Because it's beautiful when we work together. It makes the work very easy. It makes it possible to keep on pushing, knowing that there are people around you who are working in this line too, who are trying to push forward in this line. So it makes things very, very, very easy. So you are not alone facing that situation. You are not alone with all this. Now, when you've got the schools, I also said you should find details about the school. So in the spreadsheet, you have the name of the school, application fee, you have deadline, you have their requirement, either they require GRE or not, either they do this or that. You have the research professors that you are interested in the same spreadsheet. So some of the things we went further to do or to say last week was to say that the next thing is to be able to write cold emails to the professors. And we talked about cold emails last week. We talked about it, how to write it, what should go in it, what you should write. And over the week, I've monitored some people on the timeline too, based on the question I've been asking. How many people did you submit to? People said they've written cold emails to a number of professors, and I'm very happy that you guys have been getting some responses. Of course, for some people, the responses are still, "Oh, I don't have funding for this." For this period, blah blah blah. Yeah, you will get different responses like that, but don't give up. Just keep sending those cold emails. So you can also still use the comment section to talk about the cold emails you've been sending. Tell me what the experience has been since you've been sending these cold emails. The thing is, you will continue to send cold emails, and not every professor will respond to you. And even those who respond to you, not all response will be positive. Not all the response will be positive. Okay, some of the response will be negative. Some response will be, "Oh, I don't have funding, I'm sorry." Some response will even be that, "Yeah, just apply." They will just ask you to apply. Those persons will just ask you to apply. And I also mentioned in a video, I think that one is on YouTube. If you have not seen it, it's a 2 minute video. If you have not seen it, go check it. Some of the reasons why professors may not be able to answer your may not be able to respond to you. Some of the reasons just simply means because they are busy, right? They are receiving lots of emails, and then your email got lost within the whole thing, and then, or they did not prioritize it when they saw it. They just saw it briefly. They couldn't recognize the name, so they just saw it briefly and scroll past it, and they didn't really pay attention to it. That happens with everyone, so even professors too. And I mentioned how to quickly send a reminder after like a week. Just send a quick reminder, reply to the same email. Just reply to the same email you send and say something like, "Hey, hi, Professor XYZ. I mentioned I sent you an email last week regarding the possibility of working with you in the lab. I'm trying to apply to your school, mention name of the school, and I was wondering if you would take time to go through it or whatever." Just like a quick response to the first email you send is like a follow up to the first email you send, but you want to respond to that email so that the professor will see the original email you sent easily. And when the professor sees there's like there are two messages from the same email, the professor want to look at it like, okay, maybe it's not a spam, maybe it's something really serious, maybe it's something important, and then they check it. I do that a lot. Even professors that I know that I've interacted with, maybe we've met in conferences and the like, and I send them emails. And then the first time they didn't respond, I wait for like 1 week and then respond to that same email, make a reply to it, and then tell them that, "Hey, I'm just trying to remind you about this email I sent." And then they just go, "Oh, Sam, I'm sorry. I was very busy last week. Some say, oh, I was traveling across Europe, or I was." So there are different possibilities. If you don't send a reminder, that's your message is done. Don't just think, "Oh, they've read it, they don't want me, that's why they didn't respond." It's not necessarily the case every time. All right. Now that you've listened to all that, today we'll go into documents you need, but we'll talk more about SOP, statement of purpose, because actually, if you are preparing for 2026, remember the admission portal for many schools will open in like 1 or 2 months, right? In like, let's say basically many schools starting from September. So you need to start writing your SOP now and making course correction along the line. But basically, what documents do you need for graduate school in the United States? Number one, your transcript is very important. We've been talking about transcript, and I know a lot of students, especially from Nigeria, we have that difficulty of getting our transcript. I know it's very difficult for a lot of people. I know what I went through trying to get my transcript from the University of Ibadan. Even some people I know too trying to get their transcript from the University of Ibadan. It was difficult for a lot of people. It's still difficult for many people. Even for some people, it's even way worse for many people in some other schools, right? So your transcript is very important. You need it. There's nothing you can do without your transcript. And many schools receive what we call unofficial transcript from students. Unofficial transcript simply means that, oh, the transcript you got from your school, it's a student copy. They gave it to you, okay, and then you can use that to apply in those schools that receive unofficial transcript. Many schools do it that way. They allow you to submit the unofficial transcript while you are making the application process, while in the process of the application. And then you submit the unofficial transcript, and they tell you in their website that official transcript will be requested for the request for official transcript after they've given you the admission. So that means you don't need to spend a lot of money sending documents across from Nigeria to US in the course of the application process when you are not yet sure if you'll be granted admission or not. But once you are sure, then you can confidently spend that money. I've been granted admission, I've been granted funding, then you can do it. So a lot of schools allow students to upload official, non-official, unofficial transcripts. When I was applying to school, what I did was to apply to only schools that allow me to submit um, unofficial transcripts, okay, because I didn't have that much money to be sending official transcript around. And you know the stress it takes to get the transcript from UI, then you have to go through that stress multiple times if you apply to schools that request for that allows for only official transcripts. So I didn't do that. Now, some schools, of course, we also sit on transcripts. Some schools we say, oh, you should evaluate your transcripts before you send it, and then let the evaluation body send it to them. So what that would mean is, oh, you have to send your transcript to evaluation bodies like, let's say, WES, for example. That's what they call WES evaluation of transcript. So you send your transcript to a place like WES, and then WES evaluates your transcript, make it compatible with the 4.0 system in the United States. Thank God for UI now. UI has switched to 4.0 scale, no longer 7.0. When I was there, what we did, the scale we used, the CGPA scale was 7.0, but now in UI is 4.0. So those from UI, new students from UI will basically not need to do all those evaluation. But some school may still ask them to send it to WES anyway, maybe to evaluate the courses itself, because what you do is a cost by cost evaluation. There's an option there. So some schools we ask you to send it to those bodies like WES, they will convert it to the United States standard. They may remove some unnecessary courses, some unnecessary receipts that people did in school, and then they send it to the school directly. But you have to pay them. I think they charge 200 and something dollars. So that was a challenge on its own. So I didn't apply to schools that require WES evaluation too. Okay, or that requires evaluation of transcript. There are other evaluating bodies, not just WES. Some are even cheaper than WES, so you can try that. But because WES is very popular, so a lot of people do WES. These schools accept evaluation from other schools too. I mean, other bodies too. I have a friend who did from another, but maybe NCA or something. I can't remember the name of the evaluating body, but that's what some schools require. What I did, I avoided that. Now, another document schools will definitely want your CV. They want to see your CV, and remember, in your CV, you want to include things that has to do with what you're applying for. Okay, you don't have to include all your life history when you were working as an apprentice, learning tailoring. You don't have to include all that. Just things that are applicable to what you are applying to or to where you're applying to. Those are the things you want to include there in your CV. I won't talk more about that because I'm actually going towards SOP. Now, another beautiful document they request for, of course, they request for recommendation letters from your professors, those who have worked with. It doesn't have to be your supervisor only. It can be those you worked with. If you did your an internship, for example, in a place where the person is learned, so to speak, and then they can write for you too. Those folks can write for you if they are professionals in their field. They can write for you because they've seen you work before. If you did, let's say, IT industrial training somewhere where they are professionals, those professionals can write for you too. So usually schools require 3 recommendation letters. This is one of the big orders for a lot of students or for a lot of applicants, because you're trying to apply to, let's say, 10 schools, and each school requires 3 recommendation letters, and you're looking for how you will manage to have different people write for you across for these different schools, and it becomes very difficult to get a lot of people to write for you. It becomes difficult. I can understand. I apply to a lot of schools too. I remember how I go from office to office of my professors. I go from their own office to other just to talk to them, just to familiarize again with them. I did that so during my time. So please, you just have to give it all it takes. I was telling one of my friends that if it takes me prostrating for all the professors, I'll just go and be prostrating and saying, please, so I beg, oh. So these some the recommendation letters are very important, and because of how stressful it gets, some people think maybe they will just skip it, or they will get someone close to them to write for them. Please, the value of the person writing for you is very important. I think that's the next thing we'll talk about anyway. But recommendation letter is one of the things they require. They want someone else to speak on your behalf or to speak to your ability. But one of the most important documents will submit is your SOP. Now, it is in your statement of purpose, SOP. It's not song of praise. Someone is thinking song of praise, and it's not a standard operating procedure. Okay, it is statement of purpose. Now, this is where you'll be able to address everything concerning your application. This is where you'll be able to explain situations your CV cannot explain. This is where you'll be able to explain situations your transcript cannot explain. This is where you'll be able to tell them, the admission committee, about your goals, dreams, and this is how why they will be able to make sense of your CV. Things they see in your CV, this is where they will make sense of it and like, oh, this is why he did this internship program, or this is, oh, this is what he gained from this internship program he went to do. Oh, this is why he went to study animal science at the University of Makurdi. Oh, I see. It's in your statement of purpose that you're able to address everything. Now, even those who have low CGPA, some schools ask them to address why they got a low CGPA in their statement of purpose. So this is where you'll be able to tell them, see, I'm not a dollar. Situations happen to me on campus. Some people lost their parents while studying, and then for a semester or two, they could not just concentrate, and it was failure. This is where you'll be able to say, oh, during this period, I was really sick, and then I could not just concentrate, or just making clarifications. This is where you'll be able to tell them about how you began to have a big dream, because you want to be a surgeon. Your decision was to be a surgeon because you saw someone who went into an operation, who suffered a medical problem, and then you went to an operation room, and then the doctor was able to save the person, and you were very young, you were 8 years old at that time, and you felt, I think I need to go into this so I can save lives too. This is how you'll be able to connect your story to what you have done or what you are doing currently. So this is where you'll be able to explain to those looking at you, say, see, I'm the best fit for this. And your statement of purpose, I usually say it, you don't have to write everything about your life, just like your CV. Okay. You have to write what is necessary for what you are applying for. What is necessary for what you're applying for. I have a whole video on statement of purpose, but I will still state many those things that should go in your statement of purpose. Okay. Now, one of the questions in fact, someone was asking that question last week. When we had this space session, let me see, is it here? He's not here yet. I can't even remember his name exactly. I think I remember him now, but he's not here yet. So one of the things he said, which is one thing I've been clamoring for, is that try and gain research experience or any experience that is needed in your field. Okay. And one example I used to give is that you can go back to your school or any other school in your area and meet with a professor there and tell them you want to volunteer in their lab and join them in doing their work. And this guy said that is exactly what he did. He went back, joined with the professor, he studied physics too, joined with the professor, and then they started working together. Even though he has finished, he's not getting salary, right? He just went there with the professor, and then they'll be putting him in papers. They are all writing together because he's doing the work with them too. He's volunteering. Okay, so these are some of the things I've always said on how you can gain research experience. Now, these experiences will be very, very important when you translate it and put it in your statement of purpose. But let's go. How should the statement of purpose look like? What should it be? What should you see in your state, or what do you want to see in your statement of purpose? Basically, your statement of purpose, you should make it into 4 or 5 paragraphs. Okay, don't let it be too much. Don't let it be more than 2 pages. It's very important that it's not too long. In fact, some schools will say you should compress everything into 1 page. But I still say, if the school did not say you compress everything into just 1 page, you can make it two pages basically if you want to go long, but don't let it go beyond 2 pages. And you can structure it in such a way that you can have it as 4, 5 paragraphs. So what should go in your first paragraph? Your first paragraph, you basically want to talk about the how you got interested in your field, in what you are doing. Okay, so you want to give us an intro into how it all began. Now, of course, some schools will say write statement of purpose, write personal statement. That can go in personal statements too. But if a school does not say write personal statement, just SOP, like many schools say, these are some of the things that you can go into. You want to create a problem statement and how you have become interested in solving it. Okay, and there are the two ways you can go about it is to basically start by giving us the intro, how you became interested in your field. What problem did you see? Okay, maybe you grew up in a place where people drink from the river and you saw how people pollute the river. And then it gave you an idea like, oh, this will form sicknesses. Like, this doesn't make sense. And then you started getting interested in toxicology, things that has to do with contaminants in the river or in the environment, blah, blah, blah. This is what comes into your first paragraph. You have to structure it and say, this is the problem, and this is how I got interested in it. This is what I want to do. This is why I decided I have to do something about this. For some people who don't have a story like that, you can look into your field and look for a problem statement, things you want to do, why your research is important to your field. Then you can introduce that problem statement in your first paragraph. Okay, for example, someone studying mathematics may not say, oh, I saw in my house or I saw in my clinic on why some people cannot, maybe you can't really relate it to something in the environment and say that's why they decided to study mathematics. Of course, you can start by saying you love numbers. Okay, that's a good way to start. Like, you love numbers, you've always been very good at it, and then you started, and then you introduce the problem in your field, maybe a problem that no one has been able to solve in like 50 years. And then when you were studying, you saw that this is interesting, you would love to get involved in it, and then voila, you started studying mathematics. Okay, so you want to first paragraph, you want to make it a problem statement, why you got interested in what you want to do. The next paragraph, remember, it should follow each other. There should be a good transition. The next paragraph should be, okay, because of this problem, because of my interest in this is what I decided to do. Next paragraph, you just say, then I went to the University of Ilorin to study computer science. And then you mention things you learned in computer science, you mention those background courses you have. Because sometimes some of the things these professors or this admission committee want to see in your transcript, they want to see some of the courses you have done. They want to see if you are a good fit, if you have the background knowledge for what you want to do. That's one of the reasons why they request for the transcript. They want to see if you have the background knowledge. So you can also introduce that in your in your SOP, to talk about the fact that you have the background knowledge for this thing you want to do, or for this research you want to do. Okay, so you are interested in this course, you are interested in this in solving this problem. Then you went to the university and you studied the basics. Okay, for your undergraduate, you studied the basics. You want to mention those things you learned. Now, in that same paragraph, it's possible to introduce some of the skills you have learned. Maybe the research skills, maybe the research you did, maybe the programming skill, maybe the volunteering thing that you have done related to that. But many times that paragraph will not be enough. So you can move to a third paragraph to talk about that and talk about those things you gained while studying on campus. You can see the progression. Okay, those research work you did while on campus, while there, what your contribution, your little contribution during those period, okay, or during that time. You want to introduce that in that third paragraph. If you don't really have much to talk, it can also go into second paragraph. But still, you want to break your writing into paragraphs, so it's very important. So you go into the third paragraph, you talk about those things, your volunteering experience, places you volunteered, as your research experiences. And remember, as I've always said, your research experience does not have to be the research you did for yourself only. I remember on campus, we usually help our guys to do their own research. So like, Somebody assists me while I'm doing mine, I assist someone while he's doing his. You want to include that. It's part of your research experience. A professor that asks you guys to come and then observe or join him in his research as a course or whatever, and then you all went there, you were part of it. Include that as your research experience too, because in the real sense, it's your research experience. Okay, so you include that. In fact, I think I need to make another session solely on research experience, or what, or yeah, research experience basically, that can go in your statement of purpose. You have to include all these things because it's part of the work you did. You were there. You observed things. You didn't only observe, you carried things. You carried water. You carried bucket of water. You carried something. You did something. Okay, you moved something. You passed equipment. So the person using the screwdriver, you pass screwdriver to the person. The person using the spanner, you pass spanner to the person. You were there. It's part of your experience. So you should include it. It doesn't have to be only those things that you did for your own project. Okay, it doesn't have to be only the things you did for your own project. You studied agric something something. You went to your friend. You went to feed animal together. You went to give injection. They called you when they were trying to kill the animal to remove the brain, to do all these things. You were there. It's part of your research experience. It's part of the experience you've had. So you include all these things in that third paragraph. You include those things you've got. You include the volunteering role, those internships you did, those experiences that are necessary, that are related to what you're applying for. You include everything there. It's very, very important. You include there because you actually did it. You were part of it. It's what you did. Okay, so you have to include it. Now, when you have done that, you go to the next paragraph. Now, because of these things you have realized, because of these experiences you've had in the fourth paragraph, you start telling them that you consider schools to apply for, but you found that the University of Johannesburg, sorry, not Johannesburg, because I'm talking about you, Florida State University is the best place where you can carry out research. Then you start talking about the research that you want to do in Florida State University, the research that you are interested in Florida State University. You talk about the professors that you found there, the research they do, like one or two professors that you really want to work with. Then you talk about the facilities that you found there. The facilities, maybe you are now interested in nuclear physics or condensed matter physics. You talk about the fact that for nuclear physics, they really have the John D. Fox linear superconducting accelerator laboratory. They have a linear accelerator. They have different germanium detectors. They have different split pulse spectrograph. They have different, it's just that many those facilities which can aid you, which can help you in doing your research. You start mentioning it. And if it's condensed matter you're interested in, you say, oh, they have the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory there, which is the highest powered magnetic lab in the world. That's in my school, in my town. Okay, so you want to talk about those things that they have it there, blah blah blah, and it will help you to what do you call it now, to do research, to gain this thing that you want to do. You just talk about all those beautiful things in that fourth paragraph. Okay, and then of course you talk about the professors you are interested in. One or two professors basically is what people put, is what you should put. Okay, now your last paragraph, which is the fifth paragraph, um I will come to your question. So I see a question in the comment section. I will come to your question. Now, for the last paragraph, you basically want to talk about your future goals. Okay, so after you finish learning this, what next? Or after you finish doing this research, what next? Is that the end on its own, or is a means to an end? Someone may say, the goal is to jackpot. No, don't you don't write that there. What you want to say is that in the long run, you want to join a research to continue research in this area, and then for you to be able to make more findings about this and that, or you want to join the industry to continue to produce semiconductor devices because of these things that you would have learned here and there, blah blah blah. Either you want to join that, or you want to say you want to go into teaching, research and teaching, lecturing job, blah blah blah. You want to say that, so you just want to give us more context. What will you do in the long run? What will be the goal for you? So eventually you have 5 paragraphs, and by the time you say 5 paragraph is already going into 2 pages. Okay, and then you have it there. You don't have to include all experiences you had when you were learning tailoring, when you were learning how to fix a car, when you were learning um, the things that are not related to what you are applying for. So basically, that is the structure of the SOP. That is the structure of the statement of purpose. But again, this requires refinement over and over and over and over and over again for you to get perfect. Of course, those who are looking at your application, they don't expect a perfect application, right? They don't expect something to be 100% perfect, but they expect something at least that makes sense, that is readable, that communicates the idea in your mind. Okay, and they can relate and correlate it with what other the other documents you have submitted. From SOP, they'll be able to say, oh, this guy is a brilliant student, and then they'll correlate with that. From this SOP, they will be able to say that, oh, this guy has this research skills. No, from this way, they'll be able to say this guy has programming skills. You want to introduce in that SOP things that you are bringing to the table. You are bringing something to the table, and you're also coming to learn. You don't want to write your SOP in such a way that the committee will say, okay, so maybe we don't need you as a student. You should even be the one teaching us, or why are you coming to study if you already have attained all this, blah, blah, blah. You want to show that you are bringing something to the table, to the research group you'll be joining, and you're also willing to learn. You are coming to learn. That's what your SOP should be. Okay, so before we go into questions, I just want to say I'm also on YouTube. I'm live on YouTube. I'll open the floor for questions. I'll start with some questions that has been asked. Um, if you want to ask a question, you can start the question for the mic. I'm also on YouTube. If you're unable uh, to get your question asked, you can come and ask your question on YouTube. Just if you just see my timeline, I shared the link to the YouTube space. I said live on YouTube too, so you can see that. All right. So let me start with someone who has asked a question. Ajao, you said for someone that has been helping marking the script for lecture after graduation, can that be included? Yes, you can include it in certain way. That can also show that you can be a good teaching assistant. Okay, it shows that you already have experience doing teaching assistantship job, right? And then you are fit for that. So in that way, they can know that yes, this guy can work for us. Basically, this guy has experience. And one of those things that will also help you with is for them to be able to know that you speak English. Okay, you can write in that like you the language of instruction and grading. The language of instruction is English. So the examination is written in English, and then you grade it because people apply to the United States from different countries. So I just wanted to know what is in the mind of some professors, the admission committee. People apply from different countries, from China, India, from Korea, from Spain, from Mexico, from all over the world. And in many places, English is not the lingua franca, it's not the major language of instruction, it's not the language of communication in many countries. So they know that for some of those countries, they have difficulty communicating in English. So if anybody, and then the language of instruction in the United States is English. So if anybody will come, they expect the person to understand English language. And many people, remember, you have to give them grace too. Some people don't know the geography of the world. Some people don't know that Nigeria, for example, if they've not met many Nigerians before, they may just feel Nigerians also speak just one language, one of the languages in Africa. In fact, some will assume that, oh, Africa, they speak Afrikaans, basically. So they speak Afrikaans, or they speak Swahili. No, Swahili is very popular. They say, oh, maybe they speak Swahili in Nigeria and the like. So they don't really know. Men don't know. So you want to include it that the language of instruction is English language, and then you've done this, you've taught, done all these things. So that is why you can include it at Jao. You can definitely include the experience. You can include the experience. All right, all right. Let me give the mic to Kelechi. There have been many questions already. Kelechi, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Good afternoon, Doc. How are you doing? Well, good day to you.
Yeah.
Happy July 4th.
Oh, I wish you the same. Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you. So I follow your spaces most times. I actually have to listen to the recordings because I'm working full time, and most times doing your spaces, I'm actually busy with work. So my question basically is about code names. It's about code names. So I'm sorry for dragging the session back. The major question is my course is a very niche course. It's a very niche course. Like in the US, there are probably like 11 schools that actually offer exactly that, and maybe about 2 or 4 schools
Wow.
in Canada that actually do that. So, and even when you get a school in the lab, you have like 5 lecturers, and out of those 5 lecturers, only like 3, or even out of 7, only like 3 lecturers are actually doing the exact same thing. So, I was wondering, how would it be? Do I have to code in all those lecturers, all those professors, or should I just code in 2 out of them? Would it be somehow, would I seem desperate, or kind of, because these professors did discuss, so would I seem desperate, so would I seem like, I don't know how
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
possible? Would it be,
So it's one
yeah,
of the things I addressed last week. Then my idea is that start with one, wait for a week to see their response. Okay. Now, if their response to you is no, then you can move on to another person. Okay, so you can wait for the response from the first person before you move to another person. So start wait for like a week, send them a reminder. If no response and if it is no, then you can move to another professor there. Maybe the person is not taking a student, or maybe the person is not. Different things happen. As like you mentioned, professors talk, definitely. Professors talk. So yes, I think that's the way to go. But don't just email all of them at the same time, and then it will sound weird, like, oh, you want to work with this, you want to work with me, you want to work with that, you want to work with that. Some professors can be accommodating, can be understanding. Okay, like in my group now, in where I finished from, if you join my lab, at least you are working with my boss. You are most likely working with the other boss who is also in the subgroup of my group, or let me use in the group in my lab. Okay, so in my lab there are different groups. So that's some professors work together so that when you are working with one, automatically you are working with the other. So the other person will be like a co-advisor to you, basically. So except in the but you don't know until you really get there too. So there's that. All right, let me answer a question from YouTube. So someone is saying, I have the data in Kingsley. You're saying you have a certificate in data analysis going for masters in public health. Will that help for graduate uh, research assistantship? Yeah, people switch that way. Honestly, people switch that way. And in public health, there are aspect that has to do with data analysis. Okay, because it's a public health, you have to analyze it in a certain way. So you can talk about your skills in data analysis and how it relates to public health, how it will help. Okay, it's just basically finding the link between both, and definitely data analysis helps anywhere, even in physics and whatever. You can always relate it. But again, public health, people come from different backgrounds, come and do public health. That is one. No. But if you want to come to a place like physics, you don't have the background knowledge in physics, for example, even though your data analysis will help, but you don't have the basic background knowledge in physics to be able to do it. But in public health, it's what people come from different units to come and do, from different courses to come and do, and they actually enjoy it. Okay, and then because you can see it, look at it from different perspectives. There are different aspects of public health where you just need the basic things that you will need to be taught generally there. All right, all right. Um, Let me take another question from Twitter. Um, I see your hand up, Eli. Okay, you can ask your question, Eli's gadgets. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I've always wanted to ask a question. I've always wanted to come across your space, but I don't know, most times you held your space. I'm always busy or not active on Twitter.
Oh, sorry.
No problem about that, sir. So I wanted to ask. I studied criminology and security studies.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I want to do my masters outside country. I'm in Nigeria though. I want to do my masters outside country by the grace of God. So I don't know how possible it will be. Number one, I'm looking at the costs, looking at institutions that don't take higher or that gives scholarship. Like I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so institutions overseas that give scholarship to maybe students that studied criminology. I want to go further in their studies.
So yeah, so you are looking for those schools, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. So you if you join those space sessions that we've done, we've talked about how to search for those schools. Okay. In fact, I did a video last, okay, that was 2 weeks ago. After we discussed on Twitter Spaces, I did a video to demonstrate how to search. So I will advise you to look for that video on YouTube. If you check through my timeline, I shared the video on Twitter too. So I will advise you look for that video. I demonstrated how for every course of study you can search for you schools that have funding for you. So I will advise you look for that video. There is cause criminology, there is the sociology is under some part of it is under sociology. You will find your course there. You will find funding. Lots of schools in the United States offer funding for what you want to do. So I will advise that you what's the word now? Look for that video. Look for that video and then watch it. It's not long. It's not too long. Watch it. I demonstrated. I shared my screen. I was typing, searching on Google, just using different courses. People in the comment section were giving me different courses that they want me to search, and then I was searching for their courses and looking for funding in their courses for them. And they were seeing it, and different people, everybody was happy. Like, and people were able to search for more schools, and that's why we started having people making a spreadsheet. If you look at the space session we did last week Saturday, there is a spreadsheet that people shared the under the what do you call it now, the space session on the comment section. People were sharing the spreadsheet of the schools they found. Okay, so I will want you to do that search. You will enjoy it. You will learn how to search for your course in film. Now you need to start now because um application will soon open for many schools. Application will soon open. Let me quickly take a question from YouTube that someone is asking. Samuel, you're asking, you sent a message, Prof. You sent some prof code emails this week, and two replied to you saying they can't choose students except only from those the committee have chosen. Is this normal? Is this normal for you? But you encourage you to apply. So I've mentioned it, Samuel. I've mentioned it that some professors will say they cannot choose directly. They only choose from those that the admission committee have chosen. So yes, that's a possibility. Your response to the professor can be that, oh, that's nice, but you will apply, but you would love to work with them, and then based on what you have read about their profile, blah blah blah, and see what their response would be. People can encourage you to apply. So some professors don't necessarily use their funding to fund students. Some professors just allow. Some schools do what we call rotation, when once you join the lab, once you join the department, they allow you to do rotation in different laboratories. You do it for like maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. 1 week you do in one lab, 1 week you do in another lab, and then you rotate all around. And after the whole rotation thing, you decide, okay, this is a lab I want to stay in, and then you stay in that lab. So different schools do it differently. So you may want to respond and let the professor know that if you really want to apply to the school, yes, that you'll be applying to the school. That thank the professor for the response, and that but you still love, like, you really love to work with him, and then you've start reading the professor's work and let the person know that you started reading the professor's work, and you just want to know if the professor will be taking students in fall 2026, because some professors will not all professors take students at all time. So I think that answered your question, Samuel. All right, let's come back to Twitter. Don't sing, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
All right. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity. For time that you have been dedicating to us, really appreciate it. Do not take it for granted. So, sir, my question is very direct. You mentioned, and I've been seeing myself, some schools will mention SOP and personal statement.
Yeah.
I really do not still get it yet. The difference between an SOP and a personal statement. What are the contents of a personal statement? You have categorically stated the content of an SOP now.
Yeah.
I don't know. When they say personal statements, what are they expecting from us?
Okay, so
the difference, that is what I want to know.
So basically, just like the name sounds, they do different same thing. You are trying to prove the same thing, but coming from different perspective. Remember when I was talking about the introduction, I gave two perspectives. One perspective is basically a personal statement perspective, which is the perspective of telling your story. Okay, telling your story. Your focus is on your story, on your story of how you became interested. On the other hand, SOP, the major uh, way is focusing on the thing, the cause, for example, the problem statement in the field. Okay, the problem statement in the field. If I come from a perspective of I grew up in Lokoja, and then there is a conference town, is a this and that, and I'm talking about things I saw in the surrounding. I'm talking about my story, right? If I talk about the fact that the United um, the World Health Organization estimates that this 6 billion of people are in abject poverty in the world. And I start giving statistics and I start giving problem statement of what researchers have said is responsible for this and that. That's from another perspective, statement of purpose basically. But the reason why we mix everything together now is because many schools will just say write your statement of purpose, okay, and then that's the only thing you submit. But few schools will say submit personal statement, submit statement of purpose. What they are trying to do is for you to be able to limit what you are writing, and they will say one page for each. Okay, so in the statement, in the personal statement, you are writing your story, what you eventually studied, what you want to do. So, okay, what your story, what happened to you that made you want to study, how you eventually studied, what you do. From the other's perspective, you are writing from the perspective of motivation. Okay, you are writing from the perspective of what the problem statement is in the field, what the researchers have said, and then motivation, what you think, what you will do will yield in the future, what it will do for the world, blah, blah, blah. But the beautiful thing is, any school that specifies the difference and says submit two statements, most times they will give you the content, what they want you to write, or the answers they want you to answer. Oh, the questions they want you to answer. They'll give you the questions they want you to answer in each statement. Okay, so for example, personal statement, they will say address why you chose to study this, address why you are interested in this, address this and that, and then this one they will say address this and that, address this and that. So that's the basic difference between the two. But many schools combine and just say statement of purpose, and that's why we talk about the two as one. Did I answer your question?
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Good. Okay. Dr. DBM, Dr. BM, let's have you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon,
Thank
sir.
you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah, I'm actually a veterinarian by profession, and then I was the one that commented under your tweet a couple of days about sending. I've sent 6 code emails so far.
Okay.
So yes, sir. My question is you gave the breakdown of how an SOP should be.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned paragraph by paragraph what should be what it should constitute.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Is it just really common to US schools that you need to talk about the institutions you're applying to? Is it just a common thing to your schools, or you can take it to other regions?
I think you
And
can.
then
Let me just
okay.
quickly say, yeah, I think you can take it to other regions because basically the schools, they want to know what's your motivation for choosing them. Why are you choosing them? They
Okay.
want to know, right? They want to know, does this person really have a, does this person really know what we are doing? Why is this person really choosing us? Why is this person interested in us? They want to know. Yeah.
Okay, because most often I usually talk about schools in the school, and then probably professor in my code emails. I've not really been putting it into my SOP, but I'll pick up from that.
Yeah.
Then this question might be out of context, but then it's still related. I've been applying this over 3 years, and then I'm still on it. But then I want to also give a trial towards applying for residency internship in the US. I don't know whether you have any idea or any information about how to go about that.
Honestly, I would say no. Let me just say no. Honestly,
Okay.
and I don't know how difficult that would be. That may not be on a student thing. I think that will go be categorized as J visa thing or something. But let me just say no. That's just the word. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Doc.
You're very much welcome. All right. Let Sui. Then after Sui, we have Promise. Sui, you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Sui.
So my question is kind of like multifaceted. Okay, well, let me go. First of all, I want to ask if I need a clarification as regards my grad school application. Okay, so I'm in a kind of a dilemma now, either applying for masters or PhD because, and why is that? As much as I graduated with a first class, like from in history, University of Ibadan, I don't see myself plying my trade in the world of academia. Like I don't see myself becoming a lecturer and all. Though I'm still the kind of I'm still like trying to figure things out. But I see myself as someone working in an NGO, think tank, and all. So the question is, between PhD and masters, which one do you think is more befitting to me? Like, since I don't think I will be I don't see myself becoming a lecturer or so. And also, the reason being, I don't think I have the mental fortitude to engage in to go for PhD. Although I'm still trying to see if I can handle PhD and all. So that's the first question, sir.
All right. So this is what I will say to you. Apply for everything you have find funding in at this point in time. Okay? Because you are not so sure about many things now. And then eventually it's not as if you cannot do it. You can do it even if it's PhD. But apply for everything you can lay your hands on that you find funding in. Because some schools will not fund MSc, they will only fund PhD, and that's what you're interested in. So if you find funding there, honestly, go for it. Now, decisions may change later, and you say, "Oh yeah, PhD, that's what I really go for," and you continue. And if decision is, "Oh, I can't continue with this PhD," people drop out and get a master's. Okay, people stop and get a master's. Professors understand it. Even those who come with the idea of, "I'm going to do a PhD, I can do it," blah blah blah, and they get to a point, they just say, "I got a job," and then they just resign, they get a master's and go because they got a job. Some people will just say, "I can't continue again," or life challenges will happen to people and they can't continue again. So, and there are also some people that came in with the mindset of, "I just want to get a master's and leave," and eventually they stay in, and then they just feel, I think I can do this 5 6 years, and then they continue and they get a PhD. So I would say apply for everything your hands can, wherever you can find funding. Okay.
Okay, sir. I think that answers my other question. So there's no need to ask the other question.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Good. All right. Samuel is asking on YouTube. He's saying, "What's the competitive GRE score?" You want to know my personal score, my own GRE score too. So my range. Let me just say to you, for your GRE, just try and get something um around 310 and above. Honestly, that's good for you. Just get something around 310 and above. is good. But to really be competitive, like very, very competitive, you should do 320 and above. To really, really be competitive in your GRE, try and aim for 320 and above. If you want to be like real weird, get 330, get 330 something, then that's on the top level. But 310 and above will do it for a lot of people. Even 300 and something for many people. But 310 and above, that's good enough. All right. Promise you can unmute yourself. Let's have you.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, I want to use the body to ask most of my questions because the previous sessions I didn't have the question to ask them.
Okay.
My mic was, I requested for my then, I didn't get that.
Oh,
so,
sorry.
First of all, the question I want to ask is, when is the deadline for this coding? Is like, we have started sending now. We have gotten my list and we have started sending, but when do you think we can say we have to stop sending coding because I believe the deadline, or probably when the universities or US schools or schools in the US, they start opening their application period. So I just want to know that.
Yeah. So basically,
that's my first question.
Let's think about it this way. So basically, you have many schools, they have the application deadline. And remember, when the application deadline is passed, then there is nothing anyone can do again. Even you can't apply again. And any professor cannot even respond to you as taking you in again. So basically, you must try and target before the application deadline. For some schools, the application deadline is in November. Some schools, the application deadline is in December. Some schools, the application deadline is in January, and some in February, few in March, you understand, and very few in April. So you just have to make sure you send those things well ahead of time. Okay.
Okay. Then this one has to do with application proper now. So for me, like I've seen some of my colleagues that who are there, Johnson and the other guy who ask questions. So we are who are in STEM. I find that the research now, bioinformatics or programming is one of the key skills that is being required. Like if you see people selling or labs advertising for some of this position, they'll be asking for bioinformatics skills and public programming skills. So I want to know, like most of the research which I've engaged in, I've not had the opportunity of applying those, but when I've learned them like online courses, can I include that in my SOP and my CV, though I've not really used it to carry out any research? Can I include that in my CV?
Yes.
And also, what's also my chances without publication? Because there's also research which I've engaged in. Some of them are volunteers, some of them are research assistants. Most of them is NSF funded, some of them is NCDC. So we find that I'm just assisting or volunteering. So some of those research are not part of the people engineered it. So you will not be included in public when it's being published, you will not be included. So with that publication, what is our chances of getting in? Is this we don't really have, like I don't have any publication per se.
Okay, so let me quickly address the issue of programming first. The programming, you have done a good thing that you have learned. Try to also make projects, different projects. Come about with projects that you can, for example, if it's in physics, for example, some of the things we do is we try to analyze data, try to use data, try to, let's say you've learned C++, for example, try to see, okay, can I use my C++ code to maybe create a spreadsheet or create, what do you call it now? A document, Word document, .txt document, where you have different numbers in it, and then try to see, okay, make it two documents. Try to see, can I use my programming skills, can I write a code that will pick document A and pick document B and add the numbers in document A and B and generate a document C. Okay, those are some of the things that we do with programming things, right? We want to take a file, read through the file, maybe it's in binary form, or then read through the file and do some things with the file and ask the program to do this to this data in that file. What I've given you is on a very simple scale, but we do that in a more complex form. But basically, this is you just trying to put what you have learned into use. Okay, just putting it into use and see what you can do with it. So one of the things you can do is, okay, after generating document C, try to see, can I use my code to use it to plot a graph, to open that document and plot a graph or plot two different graphs from that document. Okay, make, let's say, column A, first column in your document, make it just number, let's say 1 to 20. Make column B, let's say very other big numbers, let's say column A times on 1000. So that's what you have on the second column. And then plot a graph with it, with your own code. Make it, see what you will come up with. This is you just trying to use your programming skills in different ways. And then you can tell, write it in your SOP that you've learned these things and you can apply it to research work. So basically, no one will come and say, oh, even though you've not applied to research projects, right? You can still do it on your own scale. Now, those people you are volunteering with, try to talk to them. So if there's something more you can do, okay, see how you can get more involved so that your name can go into publications. That is very, very important. Try as much as possible for your name to go into publication. So if you can do this, that will be very nice too. But again, many professors know that many students are not opportune to do publication. So remember, as I always say, the way they consider application is on a whole basis. It's not just that they just take your CGP and say, yes, that's what we use. Or they say publication, if you don't have publications out, they look at it wholesomely and say, yeah, on a round, we consider this student will be good enough. And then they take you or they not take you. So there are a lot of people without publication who are getting the PhD funding, a lot of people who are getting it. But just for your own good, so those people you've been assisting, okay, if you contributed to a project, they can put you, make you part of the publication, or you can ask for some greater role and say, hey, I have these programming skills. Can I help to make this data look in a better way? And then you use your program to try to make it look in a better way, to look better. Okay, so these are the things you can do with your program.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, let me pick a question from YouTube. For those who don't know, I'm also on YouTube. So if you want to see my face the way I'm talking, you can jump on YouTube and see how I look. It's early morning here, so I don't look dressed. I just put on a shirt just to wear something. All right. So Jackson on YouTube, you're asking a question. Said, what should a writing sample look like, especially for someone using their undergraduate thesis as their writing sample? So for some schools, they will tell you what the limit of pages should be, what limit the number of pages. They will give a limit to the number of pages, right, for your writing sample. And for many people, their BSc project, undergraduate thesis, of course, goes beyond that. You can summarize it into 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Okay, you can summarize it and submit the summary and say this is summary of your undergraduate thesis. So that's a writing sample. Okay, so if you are using your undergraduate thesis, as if it's too large for them, just summarize it and then send it to them. That is the summary of your writing sample. I hope that answered your question, Jackson. All right, back to Twitter Space. Kefas, yeah, I talked about you already, Kefas, before you came. I talked about you, about what you are doing in that school, volunteering to be part of their research work there. So you can unmute yourself, Kefas.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Sam. I really appreciate for this privilege. I want to start by appreciating you. I think I watched your last video on how to search for schools, and I have about a good number of schools that I want to apply. And I think my problem now is about sending cold emails. I just want to know how to sell my. I'm good at Python, but I have not yet applied to a real data setting. I did a 3-month course on it, and I can carry out some basic tasks on it. But like I've not yet applied to research, And also, I volunteer with one doctor in my school, and I have a publication. But the publication is in medical physics.
Okay.
So, but I'm interested in condensed matter physics. So I'm kind of like, how can I? There's no connection with the professors I want to email. So I'm just having a tough time connecting with them. How can I sell myself to them? Like how I can write a good cold email
All
that
right.
can get their attention.
So, Kefas, that you publish in medical physics is not a problem. The good thing is that you've published, right? And it's also in physics. The research area is different. That's fine. The point is you can do publications. You have research experience. This matters a lot. In fact, if you are even in the same field, let's say nuclear physics, for example, and then you go for a postdoc, for example, if it's not what you've been doing before, you will still have to learn where you are going to again. But they can trust you, or they can pick you and say, we want this because you have published in some areas before. So publication for you is not a problem. You have the research experience, and you can put what you have learned or what you are researching into writing. That's just what it means. Okay. So
Okay.
so it's about telling them that you have published in the journal, that you did a research on medical physics, and you publish in the journal of medical blah 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 blah, and then tell them why you're interested in in condensed matter physics now. It may be, of course, there is a link anyway, because between medical physics and condensed matter physics, there are devices that are being used, and many of them are um, uh, 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 crystals that are being grown. Some of them use semiconductor devices. Some of them use different biomedical devices, which has to do with condensed matter physics. They have to grow crystals. They have to deal with crystals. They have to deal with chips and all those things in condensed matter physics. So of course there is a connection. But even if there is no connection at all, it's still physics. Even if it's not physics, the fact is that you've gained research experience and you can write. Research writing is a skill, and you can use your medical physics publication to show that you can write you can put your research down and show people what you have gotten. Okay. All right. Kefas has been thrown out of the space. I think that's his network. All right. All right. Let me pick some questions from the comment section here on Twitter too. Okay, I've answered this one. So someone is asking, do I have any idea how long it takes for West evaluation? I can't remember, honestly. I know we've done before with someone, not too long. So once they receive all the documents in time, I think it was a matter of weeks, if I remember. It was a matter of weeks, but I can't remember. I think I did a video around that time on West evaluation. If you watch that video on YouTube, just go to my YouTube page, type West evaluation. It's a very popular video. A lot of people watched it, so you should be able to find it easily. I think those videos that have more views, it seems they are easier to find. But if you just go to my YouTube channel, type West evaluation, I talked about West evaluation, and around that time, I think those were the period where we were dealing with. So I must have talked about the time it takes, because I was talking about in that video how people can ask their school to respond back to West immediately. Those are the things that make it delay, because West will still contact your school and ask them for some proof, and your school has to respond back to West. So if your school does not respond back to West, West will not continue doing anything. So they want that, and that's one of the reasons why it takes long. Many schools, they will receive email, they will not respond to the email. To just be there. I remember when we're doing for someone, we have to be looking for email, those who receive the email around in UI and blah blah and doing all those things. So those are some of the reasons. But if you find the video, I most likely would have talked about the timeline. But I think I've forgotten now. But it's a matter of weeks. All right, Ahmed Musa, you are asking, please, you wish to know if you could include research tutoring you had with lecturer only for me, which help in the application of. Yes, it's part of it. It's part of it. Your SPSS experience, yes, it's part of it. And you also you mentored. That's one of the things they want to see too. They want to see someone who can mentor when it comes to research. That's what schools are interested in too. Okay, because the way teaching works in for research, nobody will sit down and start teaching you, oh, this is how to do research, this is how to. It's what you see what your colleague or your senior colleague is doing, and you start learning from it, and then on and on you start becoming better too. And when new students come in, you start teaching them to what you have learned. Those new students too will teach new students. That's how it goes in many schools. Okay. All right. Adam, you are saying you have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, you have a publication in electrical related, you want to apply for master's in information and communication science. Yes, the CV, the publication should be part of your research experience. Yes, in your academic CV, it should be part of it. Okay, it should be part of it. That's one of the things you should do. All right, my boy is talking to me here. What? You want to eat? Good. All right. Someone is saying, how do you explain your research interest in your publication? Just talk about the research interest. Talk about the professors you found. Talk about why you are interested in it. Okay. So remember you've talked about your interest all along. You've been talking about what you have done. Remember your public problem statement, which introduces your SOP. It must be related to what you want to apply to. I mentioned that. Okay, so that forms your interest already, and then go to the I think it's the fourth paragraph from what I explained now. Then talk about the school, the research work they have done that you saw, and then you think makes or has value. Talk about the research facilities they have, which you think has value. Okay, which you think makes sense, which you think will help in achieving what you want to achieve. So talk about these things. Those are the things that will form your what do you call it now? You called it where is the question again? Yeah, you called it your research interest. So those are the things that will form your research interest. All right, let me give another person the opportunity to ask the question. Vince, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Vince, you can unmute yourself. Oh, Vince, the network is throwing him out. All right, all right, all right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think we've had a nice time today. Honestly, I will still the same homework is still what you have. You are compiling schools and you are writing code emails. Abe the twin, I can see uh, your your spreadsheet, the universities that you're applying to. I love the way everybody should go to the comment section now and see Abe's spreadsheets. It started with schools that are waiving the application fee and schools that are fully funded. So remember, this is the way I want it to be fully funded, and then you look at their requirement. Everybody should go and see how Abe has structured it. Abe has he has 24 schools, which I can see from here. This is beautiful, Abe. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. You did a great job. You did a great job, and everything has full funding. So that means all the schools that Abe will be applying for, they will fund them fully. So one thing I want you to also look out for when you are searching out for those schools is to be sure that they are going to fund students. And you can be sure because they write it on their website. Many schools write it. They say we will fund everyone who comes into the school or in their incoming year. Will be funding everyone. Many schools write it that way. So please quickly go to the comment section of this space session and look at the the spreadsheet that Abe shared with us. That is an example of what I want you to do. In fact, some of the things you can include there, which Abe did not include. You want to include GRE. Do they require GRE? Oh, okay. You put GRE there. Okay. GRE is there as part of the requirement. Very good, Abe. I love that. I love that. Great job. I will share. I will retweet it. Great job, Abe. Nice. All right. Let's have you. Oh, someone was trying to request a lady was trying to request the mic, but I think the network threw him away. Dunsin, I'm not sure if I've called you. I just want to be sure.
Yeah, you have called me, sir.
Okay,
You
nice.
answered my question.
Nice. Someone was trying to request a lady, and I want to, can't see your name again. All right. If this is where we stop to, this is very nice too. We've had a nice time. Okay, she's requesting again. I think it was the network that threw her. Yeah, let's have you. You'll be the only lady who would ask a question today. So let's have you. Nwanyi. I think the network is dealing with her, so we may not be able to hear from her. But if you can, if you are not able uh, to request for the mic, you can ask the question in the comment section. Then I can say it. Okay, so someone is asking, how do you publish your undergraduate thesis? You have to liaise with your supervisor because you can't publish it on your own. You have to liaise with your supervisor and then you talk about it and determine the journal where you'll be sending it. Another way to do it is to put it in archive. Okay, there are some archive that you can do freely without any special access, and then you just publish it in archive. It's not peer. Everyone knows the archive is not peer reviewed. Anyone can throw anything in archive. So anyone who is reading your research or your project in archive will know that it's not peer reviewed, and then they will hold it that way, that this is not peer reviewed, but it's still what you have done. Basically, it's what you have done. It's a way of just putting your project out there on the internet for anyone to be able to read about it. Someone is thinking, okay, what's archive? Just type ARXIV on Google, and then it will take you to different places. You'll see where you can drop it. Okay, one is trying to request again. Let's see. Agbani. Let's see if the network is going to allow her this time around. Oh, the network allowed her. All right. All right. Let's have you. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, Mr. Samuel. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. I see the network has been dealing with you seriously.
I swear, I had to put my other phone on airplane mode and all that, but I'm back now. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right.
Yeah, I've actually looked forward to this particular space. I put it on my notification, just that I've been on the call for a while, so that's why I joined it. So thank you for the opportunity. So I have some series of questions and then some answer for somebody. I don't know if you've answered somebody who asked about evaluation, because
Okay.
I've done that.
Okay, yeah, please answer. Yes, please, the timeline.
Okay, then question again. He said, do you have any idea how long a West evaluation takes? Okay, so me, I did my West evaluation this year, but the problem I had with my evaluation was from my school. I don't know if I can mention my school to create more context.
Yeah.
So I graduated from Enugu State University of Science and Technology, and I'm telling you, my school really messed me up. Or maybe the person who was supposed to assist me work on the transcript. First of all, he overcharged me, spent a lot of time, and was lying on it. But when I eventually got somebody who was honest, it didn't take Wes. I don't think it took Wes up to 2 weeks to evaluate my results for real, and it was very seamless. The only problem was that it was very costly. I spent close to 800K. You know the conversion now, naira to dollar conversion. I think I sent to 2 schools and it took about $700 and something to pay for it, because after you have to do there's this full.
Wait, is West not $220?
Yes, I did that one. Then I had to. So there's a place where you have to pay for the West to be shipped to you in your location in Nigeria. So it was later. Yeah, I paid somewhere around $84 for that one to be shipped to me. It was compulsory for me to pay for that. Then I now paid to be shipped to 2 schools in America.
I think that one is $15. $15 for one school, $15 for another school.
I think it's slightly above that though. I can't remember anyways, but yeah, I did it sometime in, I think, January or February. But when you want to do it, be smart about it. If you have somebody in Canada or in America that can just take that one that should give to you, you can just give them any of that America or Canadian address.
Yeah.
It's cheaper, ship within North America than sending to Nigeria. You understand? Yeah, that was just it basically. So my own personal question I want to ask is, do I need to have like a publication to be able to apply to these schools? Because I already applied to two already, and I received a rejection letter from one of the schools. I can't really say what the issue was because I finished my BSc in 2018. Like let's say in total everything after service I finished 2019 or thereabout. So I've just like focused on my career now. I'm currently working in finance, and I had my BSc in applied biochemistry. So I feel like there's some kind of disconnect between my current job status and what I graduated from, because doing sciences and now I'm in finance. I feel like it didn't add up in my CV, and I felt maybe that was one of the major reasons why I did not get admitted into one of the schools. So I don't know what you'd advise on that. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's always an issue. The gap is one thing that they always check what they look at. Just like I advise a lot of people, and just like Kefa said is doing, I would say you should find something that connects you back to what you want to apply to. Maybe you have to volunteer somewhere. Maybe you have to talk to a professor in your school to allow you volunteer with them, do internship or something. Find something maybe that you can be spending your after work hours to to do, just to connect you back to this base. So that will look good on your CV. So even though you are not working uh, actively in what do you call it now, in biochemistry or applied chemistry, for example, you still have a link to that field, and you are doing something currently. You are handling projects. You are doing projects with those professors. You are or probably volunteering somewhere where they deal with biochemistry or chemistry, which you are doing all those things. You can actually do something like that. So because that shows that you're still in the field. You're still in the field. It's one thing you can do. And publications, they're not compulsory, but if you have the publication, it looks good for you. It helps you in your application. Okay. You just have to do something. You just have to do something. Did that answer your question? Let me give you an example. My wife, when we were in Nigeria, one of the things she did after we finished, but just to remain in that field, she had to go to do internship somewhere where they use those biochemistry things that she studied and all those things. She had to go there to do internship. They were paying peanuts, okay, but she had to take it full time, like really doing something there. She did it for 3 months or 4 months thereabout, because we had to leave. I think we initially agreed on 1 year or something, but we just did it for some months, and then that really helped her because she gained very valuable experiences from those places, from that place. The equipment they use, world class equipment, blah blah blah. Even though it wasn't paying like that, but she had to do it, and then she really learned a lot, and it helped her in her applications. So that can really work for you.
All right, Samuel, thank you very much. So, based off of what you just said now, I have somewhere in mind already, just that I am not currently in the Southeast. So, I'll be very far away from my professors or my school teachers. I know a research institute in Lagos here where I did when I was in school. I guess maybe that's a starting point for me.
Exactly.
So, I'm going to look into that. I've been thinking about it, but I just needed a better advice from somebody there. But I really don't have that time. I really think I should dedicate to this and for long. And another question, even if I don't engage in all this internship and volunteer activity, can my chances of something just play? Because
can you ask the question again? The network was breaking.
Okay, is it better now? Can you hear
it's
me
better
now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying, right, your advice on, volunteering or interning at a research institute or maybe professor I've worked with is quite welcome. It's something I'll definitely look into.
Yeah.
But I'm unable to, dedicate that time. are there no like units that take current?
Can you ask this part of the question? Are there no university that what?
Are there no universities that will take me with my current resume in finance or banking?
So there will be, okay, but remember you are competing with different applicants, right? You are competing with some who just finished and then fresh out of school, or everything they've been doing has been in that line. If they have to choose between the two, you and those other people, they want to choose those other people, except you have something else that distinguishes you. Okay. Another thing you can decide to do is to look for refresher courses online. Okay. Maybe courses, some courses in your field, and then where they will give you a certificate where you write an exam, something like that. Those are other options you can look into. Okay, remember, you're always in a competition with someone. Always in a competition with someone. So these are other options that you can look out for. Another thing you can do again is to say, okay, what if I write GRE? Do you have a GRE exam, GRE results?
Yeah, about the GRE, I've spoken to some admission counselors, and some schools require it for my particular course and I am looking to get. So I don't have a GRE, but honestly, I don't think I want to write the GRE. I won't lie to you. So I've kind of like streamlined the schools I'm applying to. I make sure that there are schools that would either waive the GRE or they do not have requirements. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. So, but you should get the idea of what I'm trying to say is that you just have to boost your profile one way or the other. Okay, if it's not through GRE, if it's not, they want to see something that say, okay, this student stand out, this student is still in the line, in the field, this student is still active. Okay, they just want to see something. So because the way they'll be thinking is, 6 years, that gap, and this person has been working in finance, this person is losing touch. What exactly can we pinpoint to say that this person is still tied to art chemistry? Okay. So that's what you want to look out for. Or this person is tied to academics. So if you write a GRE, for example, and then you have a very good score, they may say, 6 years, but someone say, she has a good GRE score. She just wrote it recently. She's still in it. And then before you know it, whatever decision that they were going to make will just be overturned. Or for example, we say, she's working with, she just published a paper in this field, even though she's been away for a while, but she's still